Today we're going to be talking about UFC/New Year's Eve news, something which is not normal for the channel, but if you guys have been around here long enough, you know I like to sprinkle in other aspects of martial arts. We are focusing on Dana White and the slap that he received and the slap that he gave to his wife that was caught on camera. Why do I want to talk about this? Why do I care about this? Well, this is something which in the martial arts world, there are do's, there are don'ts, there are values, there are virtues, and it's something to me which screams, this is important, this is something which should be brought up, this is something which we should address, what was right, what was wrong, and how we, as people watching this and judging this, can make sure that we react or learn from for the future, for our lives, for what we might see other people doing, for what we might experience, anger we might experience in our own lives. I feel like this is definitely worth talking about. So in case you missed it, Dana White on New Year's Eve was out at a party. He went up to talk to his wife. She turned around, she looked at him, she slapped him in the face, decently hard. He takes a pause, he slaps back at her, doesn't land what looks like super flush, and then again goes in for a second slap. So the very first thing that I would be interested in, I actually asked a number of people recently, a number of them being females, I said, how do you feel about this situation? What do you think? Is somebody 100% in the right and somebody 100% in the wrong? Because many people would just be exactly like Dana White. Dana White used to say, and he's 100% a hypocrite, which I really don't like. I don't like people who are hypocrites. But he used to say about his UFC fighters, you should never ever hit a woman. And then obviously in his state of anger, he lost it. And he's just like, I just got slapped, I'm slapping you back. But I am more of the opinion that you should never hit somebody if you are not actually physically threatened. And this is something which I've employed in my life when people have come up and tried to fight me. If I feel like, shoot, I have to fight to get myself out of here safely, I will fight 100%. I'm not letting somebody hit me and put my safety at jeopardy. But if they come up to me and they're throwing a few ugly punches and I'm like, you know what? I can block these punches, I could lay this person out, but I don't need to stay safe, then yes, that's what I've employed in the past. If a female came up and slapped me in the face, does it threaten my safety? No. And I have actually been slapped in the face, full on, and went, am I hurt? No. Do I need to defend myself? Is a second slap coming? No. So why do I have to hit this person? So my opinion is very clear. If you are threatened and you need to defend yourself, do it. If you're not threatened, it is anger flaring up and that should be controlled. Like I said, I am very interested to see what many people think about this whole situation. You can comment down below. Do you think Dana White was justified in slapping back after having received a slap? One of the females that I was talking to, she said, in her opinion, you shouldn't slap a woman. But the woman should not slap the man either. Just because you are what you're going to call the gentler sex, because you're smaller, it does not give you the right to just slap a man in the face. So she said, in her opinion, neither was in the right, but they were both in the wrong. And I actually really like that. I appreciated that because I don't like this idea that yes, just because a female is smaller, they can get away with hitting their partner and the partner just has to suck up the anger and go, oh, okay, I'm just gonna do nothing. And I mean, it shouldn't be that way. But if you do get slapped as a man, I don't think you should be hitting somebody back, mostly because, like I already said, your safety is not jeopardized. If somebody comes at you with a knife or something, then, what was it? It was like the movie In Bruges. The girl picks up a bottle and Colin Farrell is like, bottle! And he hits her and smokes her. Yes, if you are a female and you have intent to hurt, you might be bringing it on yourself. That's just my opinion. I'm not going to stand there and let a female wave a knife around and try and stab me and just be like, oh, I'm not going to defend myself because she's a female. No, you're a person and I have to defend myself. But for the instance of slapping, not threatened, not going to be damaged, not going to be injured. Do you need to reciprocate? Probably not. Hypocrite. I already talked about it. I cannot stand this, let's call it, it's not really a quality, lack of quality in a human. If you have something which you preach, you stand up for, you say like Dana White said, you should never ever hit a woman. He is telling his UFC fighters to man up, be good people, do not strike a woman. And then the moment you get hit, you lose it and you strike back. Hypocrite. Not cool. I cannot stand this in people, and that's the part which I really look at and I go, this guy telling everybody the right way to do things, but then he cannot execute himself. So for me, I've never been a massive Dana White fan. I recognize what he's accomplished. Very impressive, building up the UFC. Some people go, oh, it wasn't really Dana White, but he was a massive part of it. Very accomplished individual, put a lot of work in, saw the potential, saw the path to building this promotion to a premier world sports organization. Very impressive. Do I like him? Do I respect him as somebody who has great values and virtues and puts his fighters first, yada, yada, yada? No, I do not. And seeing this is even less respect now because I go, oh, you hit the woman, you weren't threatened, I wouldn't do that, you're a hypocrite, I don't like that quality in people or lack of quality. So I'm not impressed. And as a martial arts channel, not just a channel for fighters, it's a martial arts channel, I like to make sure that people can come on here, they can learn something, they can recognize the takeaway from the content. Doesn't just always need to be physical, me just throwing shots, teaching you how to execute better. Hopefully sometimes you go, I think I left and I learned something today about maybe how to be a better person. Am I a perfect person? No. But it's a lot easier to preach to others what to do to be a good person than to be that fantastic person yourself. So I'm trying to just give back a little bit, just the same way that I do in martial arts programs, which I teach. You have to employ ways that people can learn and leave the dojo and go, oh, that lesson which I had today will help me in the future become a better individual. So comments down below. Dana White, in the right, in the wrong, interested. You know, it's a good conversation to have. I had a great conversation about this the other day, probably like 10, 15 minutes talking about the back and forward, my viewpoint versus a female's viewpoint. Fun conversation to have, actually. So, and one that you can actually have with your partner, right? You can sit down with a partner and just, or girlfriend, wife, whatever, and just be like, whoa, what do you think about this? It's a time killer. It's something fun to do, in my opinion. Finding conversations which a lot of people are like a little shy to have and bringing it up with somebody really important to you and seeing what kind of buzz it creates. And you learn more about them in the process. Anyway, that's all from me today. If you enjoyed this episode, you found it interesting, please give it a like. If you haven't already, join the channel, get subscribed. And as always, guys, train hard, be a good person, please. And I'll see you back here soon for another video.